Pardon the background noise. It is really, really hot here in Kansas. So I've got the windows open and the fan on, trying to minimize the amount of time in a day that I run the air conditioner, which these days is about 16 to 18 hours. And I'm not sure if I'm going to post this. We'll see. Obviously, if you're watching this, then I've decided to post it. And I realize that sounds ominous, like if you're reading this note, then something has happened, and it's not that at all. I've got my Labradorite friend here. This stone has been really, I love that flash. This stone has been very powerful for me the past couple of days. It's been bringing in a lot of magic during dreams and a lot of deep, deep insight. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. Is what do we do when we are in a very shadowy, very dark place? I am not afraid of the shadow. I am not afraid of the dark. I have gotten very, very acquainted with the void and with my shadow, and with those deep, deep, murky waters over the past couple of years. I mean, if you've been following me for any length of time, especially for the past few years, things have been really, really rough. And I know I'm not alone. And I suppose I'm sharing this just out of, well, a couple of reasons. I think number one, it's important for me to continue to share parts of my own journey. I go back and forth with whether or not how much I should share. You know, I think often in this modern world of social media, I think sometimes we share too much. I think sometimes we try to process through this avenue, through this social media avenue, and I don't know if it's necessarily effective. I know oftentimes when I watch a video or read a post from someone who's being deeply vulnerable, there are times when I think like, oh, isn't that shit you should be processing like in your own circle, in your own life with, you know, close friends or support. And at the same time, I also know the power of vulnerability. I also know through the past 10 years of having my practice that I owe a lot to the willingness to be transparent and open about my journey. And I think that one of the most important things that I have come to see in what I do and what I share is that honesty. It's not all love and light. It's not all sunshine and roses. And I do believe that I am the creator of my reality. And sometimes that creation happens on purpose and deliberately, as in I am saying, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do to build it. And, you know, this is me manifesting it. Sometimes that creation happens kind of by default, by what I continue to allow to be a part of my experience, what I continue to choose, sometimes to my detriment. Sometimes that creation happens from a higher level of, you know, big self saying, okay, this is the road that we're going on now. This is the path and the direction. And in those instances, like I often say, that when it doesn't make sense from the human perspective, it means that the pieces are being moved around the board by a higher level of our awareness. And I am absolutely 100% in one of those places where I don't get it. I don't understand why I am where I am. And I can make sense of where I am from the perspective of being able to share where I am and offer my own feelings, my own experience. But in terms of the why, I don't know. I don't know. I'm in this place right now. I'm in rural Kansas right now with my family, with my mother and my stepdad. And for the past 4 years, I have been living with family. And for a while, it was my brother or my brother-in-law and my sister in Colorado. I was there for about 3.5 years, and then several months ago, I came to Kansas here. and I'll be here for, a few months. There's a lot of reasons why I came. But this is not a permanent place for me to be. It's not a permanent move, just like Colorado wasn't a permanent move. When I left Los Angeles in 2019, I knew that there was a very, very clear reason, because Spirit made it very clear to me. I still remember the morning. It was August of 2019, and I was at this crossroads, and I was at this point of, my lease was about ready to come up for renewal in my apartment. I was really feeling this deep, deep inner shift, and I didn't really know what was next or where to go. And I was at this place of like, okay, there's a very practical choice that I have to make coming up soon, right? Am I going to renew my lease, or am I going to leave? And if I leave, where will I go? And very clearly one morning, it was like, bam, just this clarity and this guidance and this direction to just go, leave Los Angeles. And the next thought was go to Colorado, see if your sister and brother-in-law can take you in for a while. And I thought maybe it was going to be 6-9 months. I didn't really have an idea, but I certainly didn't think it was going to be years, plural. And then, of course, 2020 hit and the world fell apart. And so I see now the wisdom of that move. And in hindsight, I can see very clearly why I was guided to leave Los Angeles. And I'm glad that I did. And yet here I am 4 years, almost 4 years. I mean, it's August now. So almost 4 years later, I feel stuck. I feel lost. I feel completely beside myself. I feel marginalized in my own life. I feel like I am living in the margins. I am displeased, I am frustrated, I am unhappy. I don't see a path forward. I know what I want. I know where I would love to go. I know the things that I need to make these dreams happen. And yet none of it is here. And I've been in the void. I've been in this chaos state. I've been in the shadow realm for the past 4 years especially, but if I'm honest, probably the past 5-6 years. I can sense when I was starting to slowly move into the shadow in 2017, 2018, and then 2019 to like last year was really me being deeply entrenched in the void and in the shadow. And I fought that. And eventually I just surrendered because I had no other choice, or, the only other choice was to continue to fight and struggle and suffer. Because I do believe that suffering is rooted in the desire to vacate or escape the present moment. And when things are stormy, when rough weather is present, it feels really, really challenging to stay with it. And I've been watching this woman, I believe her name is Tara Birch or Tara Brock. I'm going to put her proper name in the description because her last name, I believe it's Brock, B-R-A-C-H, Tara Brock. And she has a very beautiful energy about her. She comes from kind of a Buddhist, an Eastern philosophy background. Buddhism and the perspectives and philosophies of Buddhism play a large part in the videos that I have watched of hers anyway. And recently I was watching a video and she was talking about our addictions, and she was talking about our addictions to, things, right? Alcohol, food, sex, video games, shopping, physical things. But then she was also talking about our addictions to emotional states and states of being. And I really, really saw that I am absolutely addicted to being unhappy. I am absolutely compulsive when it comes to being displeased and being frustrated And she also talks about how, these healing visitors is what I call them. They come in constellations, right? They come in groups. Like usually there's the anger, or there's the sense of being disempowered or being helpless. And then we act out in response to that feeling, and then that usually brings shame, and then that brings anger, and so they usually come in a constellation. And my constellation seems to be powerlessness, feeling marginalized, feeling helpless. And then there's a sense of worthlessness and unworthiness that comes with that. And then there's a sense of shame, and then there's anger. And they all kind of show up together. And I've really been sitting with this idea of, wow, there's a part of me, because this is another perspective that I hold to be true, and that wherever I am, no matter what is going on in my life, there is a part of me that is satisfied by my circumstances. There is a part of me that is fulfilled by wherever I am in any given moment. And as I've been sitting with where I am, and really digging in to find, like, why have I been stuck for the past 4 years? Why have I felt marginalized? From a perspective as a business owner, my client, the number of clients that I see is almost zero. The amount of money that comes in every month is barely enough for me to pay my bills and have a life. There is not enough for a savings account. There is not enough for a vehicle. There is not enough for anything other than literally the bare minimum. And I am not even being frivolous with my money. My practice is crumbs. The amount of engagement and interaction that I get with what I share, the amount of return that I get on the investment of my time and my work and my effort and my inspiration and following the nuggets of inspiration. And I've done all the things, right? I understand that sense of being frustrated. And I am the first one, as the super Virgo that I am, I'm the first one to say, okay, what can I do to shift this? What can I do to change this? What can I do to better my situation? And I've tried everything. I have tried everything. I've tried completely changing my practice. I've tried just kind of walking away from it and letting it be dormant for several months. I've tried new ways. I've tried reinventing old ways. I've tried, shifting my focus from YouTube to Instagram to online communities to Insight Timer. I have tried everything that I can possibly think of. And yet, nothing comes out of it except for more frustration. And I was talking with a friend the other day who's in a similar place, and I was saying, I'm so tired of trying things that don't work. And I'm so tired of being in a place where I feel like there's no way forward. No matter what I do, it's just not enough. From the real, balance sheet perspective of these are my expenses, and I'm not spending money on anything other than what I absolutely need. These are my expenses. This is my income. And that is way out of whack. Thinking down the road of where I want to live and knowing that I'll need a car and all of these things that I have done. I got my driver's license for the last year for the first time in since I was 18. I have a driver's license, and I've done everything I can, or that I believe that I need to be doing, to set myself up to receive what I want. Last year I took the trip to Asheville and was thinking like, oh, that's where I'm going to live. That didn't happen. It was like, okay, realistically, if I am going to live anywhere other than a big city, that's the plan. I don't want to live in a big urban, dense urban area. I did New York, I did LA, I did San Francisco, I did Seattle, and now I'm ready for something a little bit quieter, something with more green space and more trees. So I thought, well, I'm going to need a car. So I got a license, and then, started saving for a car. And my point here is that what I realized the other day was my compulsion, my addiction for being displeased and feeling angry and feeling shut out and feeling excluded and feeling marginalized and feeling stuck. That is a very real part of me. It's this unconscious, subconscious program that is satisfied by that. Because if I do believe that I am the creator, and I do, and if I do believe that no matter where I am, there's value and there's a reason and that there's a part of me that wants this, and I do believe that, then I look at the circumstances of my life and I ask, okay, who is fulfilled by this? And it's the one that can't see the possibility of a life that is fulfilling. It's the one that can only be fulfilled by frustration, by marginalization, by not getting enough and not having enough and not feeling free, feeling stuck, feeling imprisoned and feeling small and invisible. You know, I look at my own practice, and at the peak of my practice, I was doing 20 something clients in a week and was getting, anywhere from 15 to 20,000 views per video. Now maybe I'm doing 3 or 4 clients a month, and I'm lucky if I'm getting 1,000 views in a video. And I don't necessarily think that is that's not necessarily proof of how valuable the work is that I do. I know I am a powerful, powerful guide. I know that what I do is magical, and it is alchemy in real time, and it helps. I have helped thousands of people. And I know this is the work that I am to do. And yet for the past 4 years, nothing has moved the mark except for just enough, incremental. And I humble myself to that. And I say, okay, it's chopping wood and carrying water. I surrender to the greater will. I surrender to the mystery and say, I'm not going to fight it. I don't have to like it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm happy about it, but I'm not going to fight it. And yet nothing shifts. Nothing happens. And so I've been sitting with my own inner landscape and my round table. And if you've worked with me, you know that the inner landscape and the inner temple and the round table is where I meet myself and all of my aspects and all of my layers. And I am aware that there is a part of me who only knows how to be dissatisfied, unfulfilled, powerless, and helpless, and marginalized. And I was talking with my mom the other day. I was in a moment of feeling really fraught, and it was some tense emotional stuff that I was dealing with. And I said to her, I can't do this much longer. Like, I am at the end of my rope. All I want is to have my own place, to have a practice that is vibrant and thriving, to have a car and a community and a group of individuals that I can meet with in physical, friends that I can go have lunch with. That's the other thing. For the past 4 years, I haven't had a car. I've had to ask for someone to take me to the grocery store. I've had to ask, can you please drive me to the doctor? I haven't had friends that I can go sit and have lunch with and, do things with. And I said and I haven't had my own place. And I haven't been able to have the freedom of saying, this is my home, this is my apartment or my house or whatever it is. It's not been there. And I just said to her the other day, I said, I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what else I can do. I've tried doing nothing. I've tried doing everything. I've tried surrendering. I've tried, I've tried everything. And here I am. And it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of listening. It's not for lack of tools or understanding or ability. I know how to do this shit. This is what I do for a living. This is why I came back into a human body. And here I am. Just like I was when I was in high school. That was what struck me the other day. Is like, oh my God, I'm living with my parents in a small rural town where I feel like an alien and I'm marginalized and I'm stuck and there's no way forward and I'm powerless. And that's how it feels. And I know that I'm not powerless, and I know that I'm not stuck, and I know that I'm not marginalized, and yet this pattern, this fundamental belief that was ingrained within my DNA at like 5 years old, 6 years old, it will not relent, and I don't know how to move through it. And I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to serve you. I don't know how to serve myself. And I said to Spirit, I need help. I need a lifeline. I need to win the fucking lottery. I need to remember. And so where I am today is sitting with, and there's another tool that this woman, Tara, offers, and it's the RAIN meditation, which is realization, allowing, investigation, and nurturing. And the idea, and this is another thing that I know, right, that the medicine is the poison. The freedom is in the suffering. And what I mean by that is whatever it is that I'm fighting and wanting to avoid and wanting to push away, that is the very thing that holds the light that I seek. And I know this. And it's this realization of like, baby, I love you and I'm here with you, and you have marginalized me. The part of me that is fulfilled by this marginalization, this living in the margins where I feel hidden and invisible and unseen, that part of me is what, maybe 2-3% of me, and it's getting what it wants at the expense of the other 97%. And I said, this just can't be anymore. What do you need from me? What can I do? Because this is no longer an option. I'm not going to die here in the spare bedroom of my parents' house in rural Kansas with no car and no money and no practice and no social circle and no partner and no pet. Like, the things that I'm asking for and the things that I am focusing on are not out of the bounds of possibility and not out of the bounds of reality. And I was talking with this friend the other day, and he was saying, he's like, I was recently with friends, and he's going through his own version of this. And he too is a spiritual practitioner. And he said, I was with friends the other day. He said, and we were all out to dinner, and they're all making 6 figures, working for other people. They're in corporate America, and no, they're not satisfied. No, they're not fulfilled. But the life that they have in terms of the material comfort, and, they have a home, they have a car, they have a partner, they have, a job that sustains them in return for their effort. And he was like, why are we doing this? Why? And I was saying, that's exactly the conversation I was having with Spirit today. It was like, I could go be a manager at Starbucks and make enough money to sustain myself. So why am I doing this? And we were laughing about, I worked in corporate America for 30 something years, 40 something years. And I know that that's not what is satisfying and fulfilling for me. I was very unhappy working for other people, but I'm also very unhappy and unfulfilled now. And at least if I'm working in a, corporate environment, I'm making money. I can be unhappy and at least have my own apartment. I'm unhappy now and I don't have anything. So it's all of these questions, and please understand that I don't need reminders that money isn't everything. I don't need reminders that attachment to material things isn't the answer. I understand that. But when there's nothing, and everything that I have done to try to manifest the life that I see has not worked, and I've even tried changing the vision. I've had massive, big, huge visions, and I've winnowed it down to small, more manageable, and all points in between. And yet here I am. And I am so ready, and I am so willing for this to shift. And I am so ready, and I am so willing for the path forward to open. And I know that the path forward begins with the path inward. And trust me when I tell you, I know what's going on in there. I have an understanding of what it is. I just don't know how to shift it. And then there's the other voice that comes in and, well, maybe it's a matter of timing, right? Maybe it's just a matter of timing, and it's the cycle of seasons. And, like I've been saying lately, I don't grow watermelon in the winter because that's not the season for it. So it very well could be that it's just the moment for the path to open is not now. But I just don't know what to do. And I share this because it feels important. I share this because I want you to know that if you are in a similar situation, you're not alone. And however you may perceive me as one who shares guidance and insight and is wise and, alchemy master, whatever, however you see me, I want you to know that this is also me. This is also who I am. This is also part of the experience that I'm living right now. And I know it's temporary, and I know it will shift as all things do. But what do you do when every door is a dead end? And what do you do when, for the past 4 years, my whole life has been about endings and collapse and things falling away and things breaking down, and I have gotten really good, thy will be done, Spirit. If this is done, then I'll let it go. I'm happy to move on. And I've even said, Spirit, if I'm just supposed to be not doing this at all, if there's a completely new direction that I am supposed to be moving in, then that is fine too. I've had, 30-something jobs in my life. I've had 4 or 5 of my own businesses. I am no stranger to change. I am not averse to change. I welcome it. I don't know. So sometimes maybe it's just about being where we are and allowing ourselves to be there and not fighting it. And if I'm feeling stuck, then I said this the other day, and today's the full moon. It's the 1st of August. It's a new chapter. It's the end of a cycle. And so I'm willing to let it go, whatever it is. I am willing to let it die and collapse, whatever it is. And I am so, so ready to receive. And I am doing what I know how to do. And I'm trying as hard as I can. And I'm applying the effort where I feel inspired to apply it. And I am trying new things, like the new client calls series with my podcast. I was really inspired to do that. And it's been very, very rewarding in many ways. And at the same time, I'm a realist. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur, and I gotta pay my bills. I gotta put food on the table, and continuing to live in the guest room with my mom and my stepdad in, small town Kansas is not what I signed up for. And if that is all that is here for me, then so be it. But that inspires me to make new choices and to make new change. And I don't know what that means. So I just wanted to share this with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. And I'm not one to complain, and I don't feel like this was me complaining. This was me just being very honest and raw and opening myself up to say, sometimes things don't go our way. And sometimes, despite our best efforts, it doesn't make sense as to why. And sometimes, no matter how willing we might be, how hungry we might be, how ready we might be for change and to do the things that are required to get where we want to go and receive what it is that we're ready for. I'm not a magical thinker in the sense that I can just put a boat on my vision board and then go out into my driveway and there's a boat there tomorrow. I know that's not how it works, at least not yet, at least not in this realm. And I know that fulfillment is possible because I help people achieve it every day. Well, not every day. Now maybe it's 3 or 4 times a month because I don't have clients every day. So that's where I am. And I just wanted to share with you because it's been a minute, I think, since I really opened up. And I know that I'm not doing my monthly forecasts on YouTube anymore. And that was a lot of where I would share with you what was currently up for me. And so this is just one human to another saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so I'm just going to be until I do know what to do. And right now, that's in the spare bedroom of my mom and stepdad's house in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, with no car, no clients, no one to hang out with, nowhere to go, and very, very little to call my own. And I can surrender to that. And then as I surrender to that, whatever arises within, I just have to love it, because I do not believe in a punitive reality. I do not believe that I got it wrong. It's just there's something that is waiting for me to see it and say yes to it. And so maybe that's the journey right now. It's just getting comfortable where I am and trusting that whatever needs my compassion and my surrender and my acceptance will arrive. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I love you. We'll chat soon. Bye.